Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening. We begin tonight with the news. Tasmania's long-awaited AFL team is now imminent as the Prime Minister bounces down a bucket load of banknotes. Anthony Albanese will fill the funding gap for a Hobart stadium in the morning, while late today, UTAS Stadium scored its own cash splash. Tom Johnson joins us live from that ground now. Good evening, Tom. What do these announcements mean for a team?
Kim, this just about completes the decades-long push for an AFL team. Once all this funding is set in stone tomorrow, club presidents and the AFL will greenlight that 19th licence. Today's announcement simply got that process going. It's an extra $65 million to go towards upgrading the stands, giving the facilities a facelift and growing the ground's capacity. Universal support for the funding, well, that is lacking. But the Prime Minister, a sports fan himself, was eager to be a part of history. A Sharon full of cash handball to our state.
Can be named really the Northern Ireland League because the South Island has been left out.
But not for much longer. Today set the ball rolling with $65 million to make this come to life, converting an eastern stand currently on stilts into a proper vantage point for fans. Capacity will rise to around 25,000. Change rooms and other amenities will lift to a higher standard.
When you have a facility like this, you want to maximise its usage.
The federal commitment matches the state government dollar for dollar and crucially green lights bottle green on an AFL Guernsey.
That will be playing at this spectacular venue in the not too distant future.
But as the Prime Minister prepares to share the love with Hobart's Macquarie Point tomorrow, those not sold on the plan are urging him to make a detour.
He's going to be driving past homeless Tasmanians. I'd really like it if he'd stop his car and get out and talk to them.
The man who grew up in social housing says the stadium
brings economic activity that generates revenue, that generates taxpayer dollars.
To go towards housing programs, some of which were timely dropped today ahead of the budget.
Improvements and incentives to get more rentals onto the market.
But the home of Northern Tasmanian football for more than 100 years is set to evolve, from humble beginnings entering the AFL era to a serious player when Anthony Albanese handed it a facelift a decade ago. Today is like deja vu. The impact on the state team's dreams may be unprecedented. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
As Tasmania moves within inches of a place in the AFL, questions are still being raised about the proposed Macquarie Point Stadium. The Vietnam Veterans Group, the latest to object, saying the ability of veterans and families to use a cenotaph for quiet reflection could be lost.
For decades, the cenotaph near Macquarie Point has been a place to pause and remember those who made the ultimate sacrifice. However, for some veterans, the chance of solemn reflection could be lost if sport and entertainment is brought to the area.
That will affect that solemn contemplation. They go up there for a bit of a quiet period of reflection.
The Vietnam Veterans Association telling the Public Accounts Committee they oppose the proposal. Worried crowd noise near the cenotaph will have an impact.
Of course, that noise is going to affect those people that'll be up there to pay their respects to their loved ones.
So, of course, there's a huge amount of work that has to go into that, and they're the processes that we will be going through.
Hobart's Lord Mayor also feeling left out, accusing the government of putting the AFL's needs above the City of Hobart.
Probably had given more weight in the planning process than the council.
The construction industry taking a different view. It says the build would time perfectly with the finish of the new Bridgewater Bridge.
Having the stadium there to be the next major project in the pipeline once the Bridgewater Bridge is completed gives somewhere for those people to go.
Today's hearings are last before the Prime Minister is expected to confirm federal funding for the stadium. However, the committee's chair says its work will continue, saying many questions still need answers.
A lot of other work to be done in planning. There's basically been no planning and no real clear understanding of what the stadium, if it's built at Macquarie Point, will look like.
John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
The measures have been announced as the Australian Medical Association gives the state's public hospitals a fail in its latest report. Whether it's for elective surgery or in the emergency department, we're waiting longer than ever with doctors at breaking point.
Bed blocked with blown out wait times, Tasmanian hospitals are in worse shape than ever.
We know that our emergency departments are struggling to keep up with the demand that's facing them on a daily basis.
AMA's public hospital report card revealing Tasmania has the longest wait time for planned surgeries in the country. Specialist appointments are taking 2.5 years to arrive. And the nation's worst performance on other key markers. There's particular concern for the north.
The Launceston General Hospital skeleton is imploding and they are relying on locum junior doctors and specialists to treat patients on a daily basis.
According to the authors, the only fix is funding.
We get $20, $30, $40 million buckets for specific rescue packages, but that hasn't increased our underlying base funding. To actually recruit staff and build facilities and capacity.
The state government pointing to record investment and saying the slow improvement is due to record numbers at the door.
41% of Tasmanians who went to our emergency departments didn't actually need emergency care, but they're going there perhaps because they can't have access to GPs and the situation with bulk billing.
Nobody goes to the hospital just for fun. People are showing up to our EDs because they are sick.
The AMA says doctors still haven't received a pay offer from the state government. Fed up with waiting, they say there's a real possibility of industrial action.
We need to rebuild morale, we need to rebuild the staff, we need to rebuild the culture.
A state government spokesperson says they will continue to negotiate in good faith. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
The state government is facing pressure to make industrial manslaughter a crime. It comes as dozens marked International Workers' Memorial Day, honouring those killed or injured during employment. 87 pairs of shoes were laid out at the Hobart service, marking the work-related fatalities recorded across the state in the past decade. Unions and Labor calling for Tasmania to be brought into line with the rest of the country.
Every other jurisdiction in the country has made a commitment or has implemented industrial manslaughter laws. Why is Tasmania behind?
We want the Liberal government to legislate now to catch Tasmania up with the rest of the country and to better protect Tasmanian workers.
A government spokesperson says manslaughter is already a criminal offence determined by the courts on a case-by-case basis. Just a week out from upper house elections, a senior Liberal minister has slammed one of her own party's candidates for politicising child sexual abuse. Rumney election hopeful Gregory Brown had criticised Labor incumbent Sarah Lovell for not supporting mandatory jail sentences for offenders. But he was quickly rebuked publicly by Attorney General Elise Archer, who says child sexual abuse shouldn't be politicised while the Commission of Inquiry is still running. The Australian Law Reform Commission says there is no evidence mandatory sentencing reduces crime. A beloved northeast masthead is at risk of shutting down within weeks if it can't find a new editor. The Northeastern Advertiser has been on the hunt for months, offering a role which could offer the tree change of a lifetime.
It's been chronicling the Northeast's hatches, matches and dispatches for more than 114 years. But one highly anticipated delivery is proving to be a spanner in the works for the region's only local newspaper.
So I'm about to have a baby. I've got 9 weeks until I officially go on maternity leave. And our challenge is that we are not finding anyone to fill my role.
It's a key job, not just at the paper, but in the community.
It's boots on the ground. Like they will expect to see you at community events because you're part of our community.
A lot of people really rely on it. Like, you know, when it doesn't happen for a week, they're going, oh, where's the advertiser?
The paper first went to print in 1909, surviving the Great Depression, 2 World Wars, the COVID pandemic and agricultural upheaval. Owner Karen Hall is determined to keep telling local stories.
We're actually recording history here by producing the paper each week.
Almost every edition is carefully preserved in the archives. More than a century of regional politics, sport and events neatly stored, waiting for that special someone to keep the pages turning. For those worried that there might not be quite enough to do in this slice of the world, never fear. The Northeast is home to world-class beaches, breweries and bike trails.
Once you come over the sidling and you look out to the northeast, you feel like you're coming into a whole different world.
Hoping to keep an iconic publication from folding. Annie Green, 7 Tasmania News.
Sporting legend David Boone is bringing a fundraising golf tournament back for a 5th year. The Common Ground Cup will be run by residents living at a Salvation Army housing service. The funds raised going towards a minibus to help them get around town.
We're looking at, say, like one of those sort of 12 or 15 seat high-ace buses, so we can take the tenants out on some social events and so forth, and they can continue with their independence.
We work really closely, and the guys work really closely with the tenants to, hopefully one day we integrate them back into society, and we've had a lot of success stories with that.
Booney has also unveiled new merchandise which will be signed and on sale via the Ratho Farm website. The dogs behind one of Tasmania's largest drug busts have taken off their police jackets for the very last time. Aggie, Bernie and Una officially retire today, but it's clear their connection to the service will never fade.
Wagging their tails as they pose with well-deserved certificates marking the end of their duties.
They've been in service for 8 years each, which adds up to actually about 150 dog years.
Aggie, Bernie and Una might have been some of Tasmania Police's smallest employees. However, their impact on the community was nothing short of gigantic. The trio involved in thousands of warranted and random searches, as well as more than $45 million worth of drug seizures.
The dogs are able to do things that general duties and specialist police can't do, and that's getting into smaller locations, it's random screening of mail and other items coming into the state.
The Labradors are now putting their paws up to enjoy a more relaxed pace of living. Their handlers also being recognised for their hard work and dedication to the dogs.
It's not something that you do 9 to 5 and leave the dog at work. Comes home with you and it's really part of your life.
Although the dogs will be sorely missed, police assure us they won't be far from the force. Una will be living with her current handler, while Aggie has been adopted by an officer and their family. As for Bernie, he is now preparing for a new role with Tasmania Police.
Bernie's a particularly lovely dog, and he loves people, loves kids, so we're hoping that he might actually get a new role as a welfare dog.
3 new pups are being trained up to take their place and will undoubtedly have big collars to fill. Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
Ultra-marathon runner and advocate Pat Farmer has accused opponents of the Indigenous voice to Parliament of creating division in Australia. The former Liberal MP made the comments to a welcoming crowd in Launceston.
This is about us all coming together under one umbrella, under one roof, and being one nation together.
He's run 700 kilometres to date, raising awareness for the Yes vote, with more than 14,000 Ks to go before finishing at Uluru in October.
In the TSL, North Hobart will look to build on its stunning Anzac Day win. The Demons produced one of their best performances in recent years, defeating Lauderdale. Facing the Magpies on Sunday, the coach says he wants to see more of the same.
We're about improving and being able to put ourselves in games that we can win, and then being able to play a mature brand of footy.
Glenorchy, on the other hand, is looking to bounce back after being thumped by the Tigers. Its coach says week-by-week improvement is his focus.
It's a matter of just being positive with the guys. I tick in the boxes of what we did do right, but also addressing what we didn't, and then trying to move on pretty quickly.
In the other match, North Launceston will host an informed Clarence at UTAS Stadium tomorrow. And 2 of the SFL's bitter foes will meet this weekend in both the SFL and SFLW. Fierce rivals Cygnet and Huonville will battle it out for the first time this season. The men's team have both battled against each other for the flag in recent years, but say the clash is worth more than the win.
A bit of bragging rights there, yeah. Obviously the 4 points are what's most important, but we'd love to let them know that we have got it, and bragging rights are definitely a thing down there.
The community sort of, they've spoken good words about the rivalry, so yeah, everyone's really excited to get into it on Saturday.
In the women's, the Lions are wary of the speed the Port's midfield provides.
And that's something that they've always been good at, and they're really good at getting the one out the back and then just running it through either wing, really.
Both matches are at Huonville Oval tomorrow afternoon. The women's starts at 12:30, the men's kick off at 2:15. To cricket, the Tigers have poached one of South Australia's big hitters. Jake Weatherald will switch from the Redbacks to Tassie on a 2-year deal. The 28-year-old opener has played 60 first-class matches, yielding 9 centuries. The rest of the Tigers squad will be announced in the coming weeks. Soccer fans are gearing up for another cracking weekend of statewide cup action. South Hobart's female Super League side will be wary of an upset this Saturday when they take on Southern Championship competitor the Newtown White Eagles. It's said to be a tough match with both teams currently undefeated and sitting at the top of their leagues.
We're not naive going into this game. We know that Eagles have a lot of ex-Super League players, so we're going to, come in all guns blazing and give our 100%.
We just had a pretty good game on the weekend, beating the reigning champions from the last 2 seasons. So, it's exciting to see what we can bring to the table against such a good competition.
In the men's, Launceston City is still reeling from its loss against the Clarence Zebras. Its players now hoping to redeem themselves as they come up against the same team in the Lacko Seljack Cup tomorrow night.
Riley Dillon scored an absolute brilliant goal, and we're not going to let him have that much space this week, and just keep tightly marking our man opposition and not let him have a sniff.
The club will be playing on home turf in Prospect. And on the back of news, York Park will get a major facelift. Tonight's Friday flashback is to when the ground was heaving with its biggest crowd for an AFL match. In 2006, nearly 21,000 fans pushed the Oval to its limits as Hawthorn downed Richmond and Lance Franklin kicked 6. When the Tigers limbered up for their first game in Launceston for premiership points, the club's devoted disciples set about smashing the venue's attendance record for an AFL match. Just shy of 21,000 supporters streamed through the gates on that June afternoon.
I'd like to see them here every week.
Oh, it's wonderful. I hope they come back again.
Inside, the hill was bursting, but the yellow and black only saw red flags as Tassie's own Grant Birchall slotted the first.
Well, he knows where the goals are here.
The man the Tigers drafted over Lance Franklin, Richard Tambling, found form, but Buddy had the leg speed and the eye for the big sticks.
Franklin is through, he's kicked his ball.
He'd go on to boot 6 for the day, giving Jeff Kennett comfort in his colours and the Hawks contingent of the crowd celebrating a 41-point win. And needless to say, Kim, a big week ahead for Tassie footy.
Good evening. Hobart 22 today with temperatures in the high teens for the northern centres. Campania our top with 23. Above average temperatures in the east and south. Friendly Beaches 22, Grove and Ooze 21. St Helens along with Flinders Island recorded 20 degrees. Just 17 though in Strawn and on King Island. The frontal cloud band came and went fairly quickly across the state today. Cloud with the low pushing to the south. A front is producing thunderstorms across Victoria and New South Wales as we see a cold pool of air developing west of Tasmania over the Bight. Tomorrow, a high-pressure ridge extends our way from Western Australia. A trough is over Western Queensland, pushing over northern New South Wales and points to the south. Winds over our region still from the west, northwest and as strong as 20 to 30 knots over the west and south with a 4-metre swell. Strong wind warning has been issued from Tasman Island to Sandy Cape for those winds. Here's how the weekend shapes up. A sunny Saturday for Hobart, 16 the top. That's 6 less than today. 13 the high for Medina, mostly sunny for Oatlands, 13 the top as well. Launceston, a high of 16 and mostly sunny, partly cloudy for Devonport, 9 for Lyowini after 1 overnight. Burnie, partly cloudy and 15 also for Strawn and for Marrawar with showers easing for those two centres. Mostly sunny for St Helens, 17 the top, Swansea the same and 16 the high for Orford. On Sunday, fine and mostly sunny, the chance of a shower over Strawn and King Island. A few showers developing over the east and through Bass Strait on Monday, and on Tuesday showers more widespread as the winds shift westerly. A sunny 22 degrees in Perth, a possible shower on the way for Adelaide and Melbourne. Rain increasing fairly heavily over Canberra and Sydney. Showers also over Brisbane. Sunny though for points further north. Bit cloudy in Hobart. It's 12 at the moment, 11 right now in Launceston, 11 in Devonport. Chilly over the weekend, Kim. I'll have to get the hot water bottles out of storage.